Writers, I have something kind of intriguing to talk to you about. I was working with a student yesterday. He was organizing his writing folder and he held up this sheet, Writers Aim Toward Goals Such As. And this is a sheet that you used in the Writing About Reading unit where you analyzed strategies, flashback, inner thinking, development of setting, metaphors, things that fiction authors are studying to accomplish their goals, like building suspense or developing characters. So he asked me, will he need this sheet in our current unit that you're working on? So I started to shake my head no. We weren't writing about reading anymore. We are doing a totally different kind of writing now. But then I stopped. I picked up the goal sheet and looked it over, and I thought, wait, might something like this be useful in this unit? And the truth is, I wasn't totally sure that the chart could help us in this unit. My first thought was to scan the goals chart and think, what are some goals that fiction writers use that are also important to argument writers? But then I realized that that wasn't really the point. The bigger point is that chances are good that all writers, including argument writers, have goals that they aim to accomplish. And it might be helpful to know what the goals of argument writers are. And then, of course, what strategies they use to accomplish those goals. Then you can make a goals chart for argument writers that would be a bit like the one that you used earlier. So today I want to teach you that all writers, argument writers included, have goals that they aim toward when they write. They use very specific strategies to accomplish those goals. Looking at mentor texts can help us figure out what those goals and strategies are. So we all know that fiction writers do things on purpose. Every craft move, every writing decision they make is deliberate. We noticed this in our analysis of Stolen Party in the Writing About Reading unit. Why not do the same for argument writing? We'll analyze a piece, deduce the goals that are important to argument writers, and then study how they accomplish what they set out to do. I was thinking, though, that instead of reading an argument, we'll watch one. So we'll watch Dan Pink, who is giving a talk that is rated as one of the best TED Talks ever. Have you guys heard of TED Talks before? The quick version, TED is a nonprofit organization that spreads ideas. There are annual TED conferences where speakers gather to lecture on a variety of topics in the field of technology, entertainment, and design. Get it? TED, technology, entertainment, design. These talks were originally released online just as a way to share with the world what was happening at these conferences, but they really took off. Now there are over 1,500 talks online, and they have been viewed more than 1 billion times. And Dan Pink is an author who writes mainly on business, work, and management. He was also Vice President Al Gore's chief speechwriter in the mid-90s. So I'm pretty sure he knows how to deliver a speech. So I'm going to have you go back to the lesson platform in a minute and watch just the first few minutes of this talk. And since you'll only be able to watch it once quickly, that means it can be hard to pick up on Pink's goals as an argument speaker, as well as the techniques that he uses to accomplish those goals. So let's set ourselves up for this work by first imagining what the goals of an argument writer might be. Go ahead and pause the video and do some jotting in your notebook for about a minute and then come back. So here are some things that you might have on your list. Go ahead and take a second and compare the list that you have with some of these ideas. All right, so it seems we have a pretty hefty list of goals for argument speakers and writers to work toward. Of course, Dan Pink may well not do these things, and we will almost surely notice other goals that he seems to aim toward. Now, before you listen and watch the video, let's add a second column to the chart where you can record what you see him using to accomplish his goals. And then make sure you jot the notes in your writing notebook, goals and techniques as you listen. Go ahead and go back to the lesson platform. And again, just watch the first few minutes of that video. All right, writers, you've watched the first few minutes of the video, and we're definitely going to add to our list of goals and goals that argument writers work towards and accomplish. So I want you to take a minute and quickly jot down anything else that you want to add to your list. Wow, writers, look at this list. Let's take a second to dig a little bit deeper, linking up a goal with a specific strategy or crafting technique that Dan Pink used to achieve that goal. So I noticed that right at the beginning, before Dan Pink even talked about his claim, he got me interested in listening to him. So I guess the goal would be hook the reader. So now that we know that Dan had a goal of hooking the reader, how did he accomplish that? Because it sounds like he did. We were interested in listening to him. How do you think he accomplished that? Hmm. Well, he started with that story, talking about something he did 20 years ago. He said it was something he wasn't proud of, so that sort of pulled me in. I was wondering what it was that he did. And if he wasn't proud of it, why would he tell a room full of people about it? And then he went on to talk about what he did was to go to law school, which was sort of funny because most people would be really proud of that, not embarrassed by it. So let's clarify that. I want you to look at the list of things that argument writers do to accomplish their goals. And then think, what specifically did Dan Pink do to accomplish the goal of hooking his listeners? So I'm thinking that he included a personal story, kind of like a flashback. He was also funny. He used humor, but that's not on our list, so maybe we should add that. So, do you see how I did that? I thought about a specific goal that Dan Pink, the argument writer and speaker, used to hook the reader. Then I analyzed how he did that. What strategies or techniques did he use to hook, in this case, his listeners? So, writers, now it's time to take this into your own writing. You might want to start by just looking at your opening and your first body paragraph. Think about what your goals are as an argument writer. What are you trying to accomplish at the start of your essay? Then be very honest. Do you feel like you've met those goals? Take a look at the chart. What strategies or techniques could you use to revise your draft? Writers, I have to tell you, I'm a little astounded. I hadn't really thought before that argument writers and fiction writers could have so much in common, but it does certainly seem from our inquiry that that might just be the case. No matter what the genre, writers have goals that they set out to accomplish, and they have deliberate, specific crafting techniques that they use to achieve those goals. Now, keep in mind, we've only looked at one piece. We might see additional goals and techniques if we looked at other pieces of argument writing. So now I think the question to ask yourselves is, which of these goals do you have? And what is it that you want to accomplish in your own argument writing? So, right now, make sure you look over your latest draft and consider what your goals are and where you might try to get your writing to accomplish some of those goals. You might star places or make some notes for yourself. And of course, you might have other goals for yourself that are different from what we discussed. And sometimes it helps to just get started. You might look over the goals that we listed today, choose one, and just start redrafting a section of your piece to work on for that goal. Try that now. All right, off you go, writers.